So up next in our subject of composition are two critical steps in making great pictures, and they are related: finding a great background and examining perspective, including the importance of the horizon line. A bad background can wreck a photo even if it was taken in nice light. In fact, I would argue, and I say this all the time, that bad backgrounds ruin more pictures than bad light. I know this is a fact. Bad backgrounds absolutely wreck more pictures than anything else I see. So first, let's take a look at a few photos. I can show you what I'm talking about here. We're going to talk about this picture. We've seen it before. This is an image at the back of the Cabela's store in Sidney, Nebraska. The background is crucial to this picture. This is a taxidermy display at the world's largest outfitter there. I love that store because it's so visually loaded, and they have good stuff too, obviously. The overall effect is that in this picture it makes people do a double take. Is it sheep in the mountains? If so, why? Is there a guy there on a lift dusting them? What's going on? Why are they tolerating it? The sheep look like they're looking up at him, actually. It's a cloudy scene. The light is nice, so we think at first this is outdoors, and I love that. The feather duster also has these different colors of the rainbow on it. So if the camera were positioned a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right or a little higher and lower, other store fixtures like stairs and signage around the display would have been seen, right? Would have given the secret away. Look at this. That's what the scene actually looked like from the balcony I shot of. Well, you wouldn't have any surprise at all if you'd seen that stuff, would you? I like the fact that that picture that we ended up with isolated it. Look at this. People are shopping around the base of the mountain. You have no idea. It's visually grabbing where we end up with. So we end up with something that's just basically a big display. There it is, a little bit more loose, to something worth a second look, something that's fun and surprising, just by adjusting the background. Look at this. A little bit too high? No way, no way. Zoom in, we end up with this. That's the shot because we've left out all sorts of stuff. Good, clean backgrounds eliminate distraction from your subject and help to focus your viewer's attention. You need to look at the whole picture when you look through the viewfinder when you're taking it. Remember, look at everything. Let me say for the record that you can take a very cluttered picture and make it work well. Absolutely. An extremely layered look is something that professionals crave. But for now, I'd like to just stick to the basics and get to the point where your pictures are fairly clean and read well, okay? On fixing backgrounds. Now you know you have to look at your background as well as your subject. You've looked and it's a mess. What can you do? Well, I use natural screens all the time, like fog and clouds, that kind of thing. That's one way I do it. Use temporary background screens, if you will. It's fairly easy, not to mention fun, to make pictures in smoke and fog. Big geyser scene in the Atacama Desert. That screen of smoke and fog, look at that. Makes these tiny little guys stand out perfectly. Easy, real easy. Or how about this? Just a foggy scene. Completely makes the subject pop there. It's my friend Brian running down the road. Or this, just a little bit of fog makes this elk bugling stand out from the woods. Just a little bit, just a little bit. A little bit of smoke, it's kind of nice. Fireworks smoke takes the background, blurs it a little bit, really makes Ellen and her friend Erin pop out a little bit as they watch fireworks. Really does help. Or just a little bit of smoke in a parking lot. Really makes Spencer stand out there. I'm not sure how good it is to breathe that stuff, but that's 4th of July for you. So I think about this all the time. I think about using this type of stuff. What else? Well, really dusty scenes can help in the same way. Dust, believe it or not. Look at this. The biologist watching a bulldozer go by out in the Mojave Desert, or just really dusty cowboys in the Pontanal. Same deal. So fire and smoke and dust and fog block the intensity and harshness of the sun. They clean up the background. They add drama. And in picture taking, drama is very, very good. So building pictures from the background forward, I think about those backgrounds all the time. And this phrase is very helpful to me over the years. It's really saved my bacon a lot of times. I build my pictures from the background forward. What's that mean? Until I have the background figured out, I don't even start to think about shooting my subject usually, unless it's something really amazing going on. Let me show you what I mean here. So this is Ellen in front of our house, right there in Lincoln, Nebraska on a snowy day. Okay, Ellen's outside. Every element in this picture needs to be working towards that goal, not fighting it. okay? So if you look at this, this is an example of a picture that's technically good. It's properly exposed and in focus, isn't it? No problem. It's in nice soft light. It's at sunrise. But you know what wrecks the picture? You know what wrecks the picture? That background. Look at that big post sticking out of her head. There are houses coming everywhere, posts sticking out of her head. Look at this. Trees sticking out of her head. It's really obvious. You know, we've got all this stuff. It's just not as good as it could be. There are a lot of problems with this, but we can solve that problem, can't we? We can solve that problem. Look at this. A big part of this picture is the street, concrete. Do we need that much street? I don't think so. Let's work around. Still, quite a bunch of streets there. Look at that, quite a bit. Neighbors' houses. We're trying to get into this mode here where we're really seeing things well. The houses next door are lovely, but they're kind of distracting still. What can we do? We got trees coming out of her head. We need to put everything into the frame perfectly so that we get our attention back on Ellen with just a hint of where we are. So look, trees, what do? How do we get those out of her shoulders? Use a little bit of a longer focal length. Now look, we fixed that a little bit. We've made the background a little less distracting. Still not where we need to be though, okay? Finally, let's keep working. Oh, getting down a little bit lower, getting the trees out of her head. Maybe that makes the picture work. Finally, we have the impression of the neighborhood, but the focus is on Ellen. It's about her. And maybe this is the picture we end up with because she's smiling because she knows the photo shoot is over. Okay, so maybe this is it. She's a little bit lit, a little bit better. We get the impression of a house back there, and it's all good. But we had to think about it. We had to think about our angles, where we were, high angle, low angle. Depth of field is certainly important. Focal length certainly important here. We had to think about all these things and work through it. 2 or 3 minute exercise. Not that hard if you do it a few times. Practice makes perfect. Okay, so we walked around, we looked, we worked that out. Was that so hard? Fixing the image wasn't about the equipment there, was it? It was really about seeing what was really going on in the frame and adjusting my perspective and my position to find the best situation. So I keep saying change perspective. What do I mean by that? There are 2 different connotations when it comes to dealing with perspective. 1, the ordinary, meaning how do you look at things? And 2, the more technical meaning, the way we represent 3-dimensional objects and spaces in 2 dimensions that still photography provides. Why choose this or that? Which angle looks the best in which light, and which background, and which lens? These are lots of things to think about. Perspective is a really important compositional element. It not only governs how we look at things, but also what's in or out of the frame. Now you can use perspective to keep unwanted elements out of the frame. I do that all the time by choosing to take a photo from a different angle. I got down low there to get the sky behind Ellen, get the trees out of her head, for example. Sometimes you want to clean up a background. Sometimes you want to create a new way of looking at something to tell a different story. Let's take a look at a few more pictures. These are from Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda. These are weaver birds hanging on their intricately built nests. Hard to say. But look at this. It's okay. They're silhouetted. But look at what happens when we move a little bit. Same time of day. All I did was move. Check this out. I moved. You can see a few trees back there. Watch. I moved. That's all I did. I moved a few feet and I put a green background behind them. Literally, it's just trees back there. It's trees in the background. So we get this beautiful shade of green, and all of a sudden we can see the details in the feathers of these birds, and we can really see their nests, all by just moving a few feet. That's remarkable, but that's changing perspective. It's a wonderful thing. I really want you to think about your backgrounds, okay? Let me show you another example of what I mean. I took advantage of several perspectives in order to get some really nice frames at my farmhouse in Nebraska. Let's go out in the field again. Take a look. Okay, so let's do an assignment on perspective. Such an important tool in composition, I cannot stress it enough. How do we get the right perspective? I want you guys to do this at home with me, okay? Find a favorite room in your house, something that you think would be a great stage for pictures, all right? And then look around. I'm here in a country kitchen. Look around, 360 degrees first. Look, 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 look. Which direction is the light best? Which direction is the background best? That's what you need to think about. So in this kitchen, I have windows on the south side. Windows, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to shoot into those windows. I know that's not the direction. So if I look 360, and I encourage you guys to take pictures, look through your viewfinder as you're doing it. Look here. Okay, look. this way the light looks best. Now, how can I make the background good? I need to clean it up. I have all these open doors. I think, in fact, I know, because I practiced before the cameras were rolling, that if I close these doors, I'm going to have a very clean background now. So simple as this. I have a very, very clean background. Look at this. Beautiful. Nice country kitchen, very, very clean. I'm ready to shoot. Now, for a lot of people, they would say, oh, this is enough. I'll shoot old cracked woodwork and I don't know. Well, it's not enough for me. I need something more. I don't have a cat. I don't have a bunch of candles. I don't have anything animate. So I'm going to introduce somebody. Oh, look, there's Carolyn. She just happens to be wearing a chiffon dress with a little shawl. How handy. You were just driving by and you happen to be here. That's great. Thanks. That's fabulous. So we'll get a picture or two, and Carolyn knows how to pose. She knows how to do that doe in the headlight look like a lot of models, big city models. And so I'm looking here. The light's subtle. It's beautiful. I have my camera on aperture priority. I'm able to just basically get the exposure. I've already done the exposure. Whether the sun's in or out of the clouds, it doesn't matter. My camera is compensating for it. I'm on aperture priority. Okay, so this looks great. But I want there to be more of a connection, more of a story here. So I brought along Carolyn's friend Cole, who happens to be my son. Cole, how you doing? Sit right there, hop up. All right, so now we have a little bit of a moment, a connectedness. And you can do this too with your family members. Bring them into the scene, find a great scene or stage, and then set the stage with the people that you know and love. All right, so I'm shooting something here. Let's see. Carolyn's twirling around. That's good, that's good. All right, look over at Cole a little bit because you're connected to him. Very nice, very nice. All right, so these look great. It's basically a normal eye view as I stand here, as everybody sees. What we're going to do takes it beyond the obvious is we're going to try a bird's eye view from above and a worm's eye view from below and go way beyond what most people shoot. And it's so simple, okay? Let's try the worm's eye view first. I'm just going to lay down here. Same thing, same exact thing. Go ahead, Carolyn. Twirl your twirl. All right, and look at Cole, don't forget. All right, very nice. And just stand there maybe. Stand there, kind of flare the skirt. Standing there, both sides. Flare the other side. And Cole, you could smile even if you wanted to. Okay, and that looks great. That looks great. A little moment, a little connectedness. Nice splash of color there in this room with the blue dress. Perfect, perfect. Okay, now, it's hard to ignore the elephant in the room, and we don't want to ignore it. The stage in this room, believe it or not, is under my feet. The floor is going to be a great stage because it's this big checkerboard pattern. So Cole, hop down, and do not tell your mother that I'm going to do this, okay? Don't tell her that I'm getting up on the countertop. All right, so you guys are laying down, outstanding, and now I'm up here and I'm looking, and it's fabulous. We've got these two good-looking people. They're on the floor. I'm looking down, and the stage is the floor. My background, my nice, beautiful background is actually the floor, believe it or not. So there you go. A couple of frames that way. Maybe hold hands for one. Show that connection. You guys are best friends. Very nice. And perfect. It doesn't get any better than that. Who would have thunk? The floor is the stage? I don't get it. But you know what? Oftentimes the least cluttered spot in your house is going to be the floor. So get up above and try bird's eye view. Remember, 360 degrees, find the spot where the light looks the best and the background looks the best. And then try low angle, normal angle, and high angle. That's it. People are going to think you're a genius, I promise. You know, Kathy and I marked out that floor, and she painted it herself. It took her a long time. Look at that. A long time, a couple of days to do it. But it's an excellent background, isn't it? It's very unusual to put your family members on the floor, isn't it? And jump up on the counters to take pictures. But you know what? I want you to try that too. Just be sure to take off your shoes. Don't tell anybody, clean the counters off afterwards, all right? Let's talk a little bit more about perspectives and backgrounds and moving around to get your best photographs. Honest to goodness, nobody thinks to do this, you guys. Changing perspective is a huge deal. You're going to be a hero if you can do this in your pictures, I promise you. Changing perspective, just moving around a little bit, high, low, around the subject, sometimes can give us just the look we want. And that's why you should try all sorts of them. Sometimes you want to do it to clean up a background. Sometimes you want to do it to create a new way of looking at something, to tell a different story. As you saw in the field demonstration, you can shoot straight on, normal view, or climb on top of something, countertop, bird's eye view, or get down on the floor or the ground for a worm's eye view. Now look at this. little bit more dramatic, bird's eye view. Bird's eye view of a bear coming up a tree. This is actually a captive bear, but he wasn't happy. Or worm's eye view. Look at this, down low. Look, we're down on the ground. The camera's down on the ground. A little bit of a flash there to light up the guy's feet. Simple things. But to me, that's every bit as interesting as the bear picture. It really is, because we're down low. We're down low. That's it. Okay, so let's look at a couple more pictures and talk about how shooting from a different perspective changes the look and feel. First, my friend Carl Simmons in a truck. This is a big landscape scene, but I've limited what you're able to see out here in the Nebraska Sandhills by using a longish lens. I'm looking at the sky instead of the land, aren't I? Okay, now look what we've done here with perspective and angle. It's a common scene again in the Sandhills of trucks, but from a different perspective. Even though we're still in the Sandhills, the scene is nothing, let's say, you'd particularly notice. We got a long lens that does a couple of things for me though. It compresses distance, makes everything stack up, makes the whole scene look nice and tight together, and also it makes the trucks a smallish part of the scene, right? If I'd been lower and closer to the ground, the picture would have been just about the trucks, but I really wanted the picture to be about the Nebraska landscape. Now, this one. Take a look, the exact same spot just a few hours later. This was for a story on Nebraska for National Geographic. This is their kind of light. This is their kind of seeing. See how the perspective from above, not very high up, but out of an airplane, really gets at the heart of this place. I wanted to show the Sandhills and the rural nature of this landscape. But you really need something to catch your eye. You need a placeholder. In this case, it's those pickup trucks. There are several things going on here. The road is a single lane and it's paved, which is kind of unusual. You don't see that very often. It's kind of a dangerous road to drive on if you come over a hill and you don't always know what's coming right at you. It's very rural. Everybody out there is driving a truck. The people are very good neighbors and they stop and talk when they see each other on the road. The countryside is undulating, stark, yet tremendously beautiful. No trees, it's the world's largest grass-covered dune field, is what they say, and I wanted to show that. By using a fairly long lens rather than wide and an aerial perspective, I'm compressing all that. I'm making it seem as though the world is endless there. And in a way, I guess it is. Now let's look at this one as far as perspective goes. It's a very straightforward picture, a white church in the clouds. So what have I done here? What have I done? Well, in this case, I'm thinking about the rule of thirds. It's in action just as in those Sandhills pictures when the trucks were placed in that lower right-hand corner. I'm a big fan of that lower right-hand corner. Done it again here for this church, right? Right down there. Those big, white, puffy, prominent clouds balance out the other side. They kind of balance out the top left-hand corner. Again, I'm using a longer lens here to compress distance to make that cloud look really big. And I'm standing back far enough so that the church is fairly small. By the way, look at what this looked like when I first got there. Not nearly as good. Waiting a bit for the sun to come out though. Just waiting a bit. Reading a book and waiting really helps make it sing. Really did. Nice job. So, another background element, the horizon line. Let's think about this. This is really, really critical. Where do you place your horizon line? I've been doing this a long time and I'm still not sure. I'm trying different things all the time. The horizon line is something you've got to consider almost every time you shoot outside. It really plays an important role in the perspective you choose to take when you're shooting. Watch this. This is at a Celtic cemetery in Ireland. Let's talk about this horizon. Getting down low, that horizon line's a little bit low, isn't it? Look what happens. You can't see the cemetery as well, can you? Let's look. Well, we can see tons of crosses for sure. We can see that, but that's about it. Now let's look. We're getting a little lower. Put that horizon line up a little bit. Now the tops of the crosses aren't nearly as visible, are they? Look at this. They don't stand out so well against the sky. So I did try different perspectives. Down low and up high. Let's talk about this for a little bit. I think about this all the time. The horizon line's super high here. I can see all the crosses just fine. And the sky is diminished. It just depends on what you want. I made all these judgments in just a minute or two. I was on vacation, didn't want to wreck the vacation. Kathy's smiling there, so I didn't overdo it. But I thought about what I wanted to show and I worked it a little bit. And I got 3 different images out of the same cemetery. That's just a little example of what you can do just by going from high to low and back again. That's it. Okay, so wait a second. Here's another cemetery. Look at this. That's in Nebraska in the dead of winter, so to speak. Same thing. Did the same thing here. Look at this. We're a little above. That's just head high. And this is how we're always seeing. Our eyes are up here, and we usually shoot from this perspective. And that's not bad. But I think in this case, getting lower really makes it sing. I evaluate each scene on a case-by-case basis. I'm down low. Now I can actually read and see how intricate and lovely that old gravestone is with the hand carving on there. It's just really, really nice. I always think about where to place the horizon lines in photos, and this has always been a dilemma for me, particularly with people. The general rule is I try to keep the horizon line from running through the middle of someone's head. Sometimes if a situation is happening quickly, I don't even get that accomplished. So let's look at another one here from a friend's farm. Todd and Susan Rivers and their kids, they're out on the prairie at their farm near Raymond, Nebraska. I tried a high angle, but I liked this perspective. I really did. For a couple of reasons, really. One, it makes their kids all stand up above the prairie and them, and I love the prairie grass in here. I get a feeling of that. These folks are very tied to the land. They're very connected to the prairie. I wanted to show that connection. They're very green, and they're conscious about sustainability as well. They want the earth to be a better place when their kids grow up. I wanted to show that connection. The house is also no bigger than they are, really. In fact, it's shorter than Todd and Susan, isn't it? The reason I did that is I wanted it that way. I wanted it to be symbolic. A lot of thought went into this. I got there early. I thought about it for about a half hour, and then I moved us all out. Once they came outside, they were ready for their portrait shoot. I moved them out away from the house so the structure wouldn't be as large as they were. This was about an hour's worth of thought trying to figure this puzzle out. Do I want to show their farm? Yes, I do. Do I want it to be the dominant thing? No. They should be the dominant thing. Is the portrait about them? They literally moved that farmhouse out to that spot. They saved that farmhouse. I wanted them to look stoic. I wanted them to look like pioneers, modern day pioneers, which they are in a way. I want them to look epic. Often, a low horizon with people in the clear above it makes people look rugged and big and powerful, larger than life, right? Makes them look like Superman. And that's one of the reasons I got down low on that last picture. There's an angle, though, that very few people think about, oddly enough. They never want to get their clothes dirty, I guess. Photographers, we're always lying on our stomach. I'm telling some of the best pictures that I ever get come from laying on the ground. I have to watch out for chiggers, though, quite a bit. When you run the horizon line well below someone's head, it has the effect of them looking larger than life, right? And this is a good thing. That's fine. On the other hand, when you run that horizon line above someone's head, it can make them look small and diminished. Look at this one, for example, of a drill sergeant. I think that was his intent in this picture, actually. Look at this. When you put somebody down low, as this drill sergeant literally did, when you are the photographer, it makes them look small and diminished. I like this picture for a variety of reasons. The horizon line is way up, so it's not really distracting. I like the way that the kid's head stands out of the bush here. I like the fact that that drill sergeant is right in his face. I like the way the light is subtle. I like the way that the cleaned off street makes the sergeant pop out. I love that you can see the rest of the platoon standing there, all in a row, all nervous, listening to what is going on in that exchange. This is a young man named Private Berg. He actually turned out to be a fine soldier. But this is one of the first days of Hell Week, so that sergeant is really getting on him. That sergeant is actually a very good and decent guy, but man, he's tough. We know where we are. We're on a military base. And look at the rule of thirds going on here. The platoon is in the upper right. This is all going down in the lower left, isn't it? And it's something interesting. A guy's head stuck in a bush and another man is screaming at him. That's excellent visually. It tells a story. I get jazzed just looking at this picture. I really like it. This picture is about 20 years old, but to me it still holds up. It's one of the few pictures I've ever shot, actually, that has everything in it. Nice light, solid composition, and something interesting. And I love the fact that this kid's hands are clenched so tightly. You know he's in pain, besides mentally. Lying down in a bush like that, it cannot feel good. But overall, this picture's got all the elements. Again, one of the very few I've ever done that's got everything going on. Now, in this picture, on this bus in Point Lay, Alaska, this girl's the only passenger. It's kind of a small little village in rural Alaska. Look where we put the horizon line now. Where is it? The horizon line is just right in the window of the bus. That way you can see the village. You can also get a sense of loneliness in the image though. You really have to watch the horizon line. You get down lower, what are you going to see? Nothing but the sky and the bus ceiling, right? You have to be at this height to see this girl's house out the window. You have to be in that height. That's where we're putting that horizon line. It's pretty common sense, but these are types of things that I think about all the time, all the time. Placement of horizon lines is so important. Like many other aspects of this course I guess it's something that took me years and years and countless rolls of film and digital files to figure out. Consider this course then, I guess, a head start. You're getting to cheat. You get to take advantage of the 33 stories I've done for National Geographic and learn how to shoot well as quickly as possible. You don't have to suffer as much as I did. Let's look at one more. Talking about a horizon line here again. This is the Shortgrass Rattlesnake Association in Mangum, Oklahoma, all set for their big rattlesnake derby. I am down low and the horizon line is down low. Look at that, way down. That makes these guys and their snakes really big, really stand up above the horizon. I think this would have been just as solid a picture with these guys each holding a snake. There's plenty of depth of field, and everybody is in there, and they're sharp from front to back. You have this western diamondback rattlesnake, though, sticking its tongue right at the camera. The tongue stands out so well against that little bit of cloud right there up in the sky. It really helps it stand out. And the clouds also give us a little bit more depth and really help to break up the sky and make it more interesting. This is why you need to think about horizon lines. If I was up high, would those snakes stand out? No, absolutely not, right? And I love that some of the guys are right on the horizon line and some are right above it. It gives the eye a feeling of depth. The fact that they're holding live rattlesnakes that could kill you is awesome. Little something interesting there. So when you're taking pictures, please be sure to consider these different things. Bird's eye view, worm's eye view, what's above, what's down below. I think about that all the time, every time I shoot, every time. So here's your assignment. I want you to set something up and walk around it. Shoot it from the best spot with the best background. Shoot it bird's eye view, worm's eye view, and 360 degrees. Really pay attention to the background. If you're outside, pay attention to the horizon line if it's visible. Remember how I shot those pictures in the farmhouse kitchen? I looked all around that place. I was looking to see where the light was coming from. Then I brought my subjects to come in, and I shot from a normal perspective, then from a worm's eye view down on the floor, and then from above, straight down on Carolyn and Cole on the floor, against that great green and cream colored pattern. Give yourself time to work out something that's visually interesting. Think ahead, plan. It really will pay off. Again, people are going to think you're absolutely brilliant, and all you're doing is moving around and looking. So we'll see you next time for our third lecture on composition.